Welcome to the Explainer. So if you've ever been in the trenches with Microsoft's cloud, you've definitely hit this wall, right? Azure roles, Intra roles, classic roles. What's the deal with all of them? Well, today we're going to make that choice super, super simple. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Because if you're managing anything in Azure, you have seen this. You've seen this list of roles, and you've probably had that moment of hesitation, thinking, wait a minute, which one am I supposed to use here? Trust me, you are not alone, and we are going to clear all of that confusion up right now.
So here's the plan. We're going to unravel these 3 different role systems piece by piece. We'll show you exactly what each one is for, how they kind of talk to each other, and by the end, you'll have a super simple playbook. You'll know exactly which role to use and when. So let's get into it. All right, first up, Azure roles. Now, this is the big one. This is the modern system, and honestly, it's the one you're going to be using 99% of the time. The key thing to remember, it's all about controlling who can do what to your actual cloud resources.
The fancy name for this is Azure RBAC. That's role-based access control. And I love this analogy. Think of it like the key card system for your office building. RBAC doesn't really care about your job title. It just cares about one thing. Does your key card open the door to the server room or the finance office? It's all about what you're allowed to touch. Your VMs, your databases, your storage.
And within RBAC, you've got these 3 fundamental roles. I like to call them the big 3. Owner is exactly what it sounds like. They have the keys to the entire kingdom. They can do anything, including giving other people keys. Now, contributor is really interesting. They can build things, they can tear things down, but they cannot hand out keys to anyone else. And reader, well, they can just look. That little difference between owner and contributor, that is huge for security. It's a classic case of separating duties. But it doesn't just stop at those 3. Oh no, it gets way, way more specific. Azure has over 100 of these built-in roles, so you can get super granular. Let's say you need someone to manage your VMs, but you don't want them touching the network. Guess what? There's a virtual machine contributor role just for that. It's all about this core security idea called least privilege, giving people just enough access to do their job and absolutely nothing more. Okay, so that's system number 1. Now let's switch gears to system number 2, Microsoft Entra roles. And by the way, if that name is new to you, this is what we used to call Azure Active Directory or Azure AD. Now, if Azure roles are about your cloud stuff, your resources, Entra roles are all about your people, your users, your groups, your identities. So if Azure RBAC was the keycard system, think of Entra as the HR department for your cloud. Entra roles answer questions like, who is in our company directory? Is this person allowed to reset passwords for other people? Can they create new user accounts? Can they assign software licenses? All of that identity management stuff, that's handled here. It has nothing to do with the virtual machines themselves. And just like in Azure roles, there's a power dynamic here. At the very top, you have the global administrator. I mean, the name says it all. This is the ultimate super user for the entire directory. They can even reset the passwords of other admins. Then you have more focused roles, like user administrator. Their job is just to manage the day-to-day of users and groups. See the difference? The scope isn't a single resource, it's the whole directory. All right, so to really get the full picture, we have to take a quick trip back in time. It's a little history lesson. We need to talk about the ones that started it all, the classic administrator roles. Okay, let me be crystal clear here. The most important things to know about these roles is their history. They're obsolete. This isn't me saying, hey, you should probably think about migrating. No, Microsoft is saying these are officially retired. So if you look in your subscription and you see a service administrator or a co-administrator, your number 1 priority should be to get them moved over to modern Azure RBAC roles, like yesterday. And this timeline really shows you how we got here, right? In the beginning, when Azure was new, you had these super powerful classic roles that did everything. They were the master keys. But as the cloud got bigger and way more complex, that just wasn't going to cut it. It wasn't secure, it wasn't flexible. And that's why Microsoft brought in Azure RBAC, to give us that really fine-grained control we needed. And just like that, the old system became a thing of the past. Okay, so we've met all the players. Now for the main event. Let's put the 2 modern systems, Azure and Entra, side by side. I promise you, this is where it's all going to click. Seriously, this slide right here is your cheat sheet, your Rosetta Stone. On one side, Azure roles, they manage things. VMs, storage, databases. Their scope is a resource or a group of resources. On the other side, Microsoft Entra roles. They manage identities, users, and groups. Their scope is the whole directory. You even manage them in different places. It all boils down to this. resources versus identities. If you remember one thing, remember.
Okay, so you might be thinking, these two worlds, Azure and Entra, they seem completely separate. Do they ever overlap? It's a great question, and the answer is yes, they do, but only in one very specific, very intentional way. So get this, by default, even if you are the all-powerful global admin in Entra, you have zero access to any Azure resources. You can't touch a single VM. But there's an emergency button, a break glass in case of emergency option. The global admin can choose to elevate their access. And what that does is it temporarily gives them an Azure role, the user access administrator role. This is the bridge. It lets them get in and start assigning Azure roles to other people. And trust me, this can be an absolute lifesaver if, say, the only person with owner access on a subscription leaves the company. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked history, we've compared systems. So what does this all mean for you, day to day? Let's boil it all down into a simple, actionable playbook. Honestly, it doesn't get much simpler than this. If you want to control access to your resources, your VMs, your databases, you use Azure Roles. If you need to control your identities, your users and groups, you use Microsoft Entra Roles. And if you ever see those old classic roles, you migrate them right away. That's it. That's the playbook. Following these rules is honestly the secret to keeping your cloud secure and sane. You know, understanding this whole framework isn't just about passing a certification exam. It is literally the foundation for building a secure and well-managed cloud. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Now that you know the difference, how are you going to design your access strategy? How will you make sure you're using the right tool for the right job in your own environment?